Thank you so much. All right, let me find my timer. There she is. Okay. We're all good? Hello, fellow Toastmasters. My speech is actually, and now Trixie presents. I just didn't get that in the title. I want to share with you my reflection on my path for presentation mastery. Before I go into my slideshow, I want to share with you that I was the book girl. I thought since this was my second path, I like to be, I'll probably say the word incorrect, experiential. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but I like to try everything out. I wanted to try, what is it like to do a path through the books? It's very different than doing it online, and I will tell you that after doing it this way, I either will make sure that I print everything out of my online, or I might be one of those that pays a little bit extra to have the books on hand as well. The reason why I liked the books was most especially in those meetings that we've all been in, where someone says, oh no, I don't have a speaker. Who can step in right now? And I could easily say, well, I'm ready to go on this path. And there was my book and everything. I didn't have to look anything up. I could just go. With that, I want to share my screen with you and share a little slideshow about my path. Wrong button. There we go. Last time when I did my Reflect Your Path, I shared all of the ways that you could do everything. And being Trixie, I had to do them all. I did the blog and the timelines and I did everything. But this time I just focused, since I already had a blog, I wrote a new blog for this path. That'll be available later, but I want to share with you more today what I learned through this path. One of the biggest things I learned was to smile. Smile when you're speaking and you're using your presentation mastery skills. I loved going through this path because I felt like presentation mastery was as close to the competent communicator as we had in the past. And since I'd already done dynamic leadership, I figured what a great combination. In this, I learned that no matter whether you're on video or you're live in person, smiling while you're presenting helps you to get your message across. In my first speech and my second, the evaluator said, "You sounded too serious." And I said, "Really? Me?" So I learned to smile more through my path. Another thing I learned, and I'm going to do right now to show you, is to stand. When you stand and you're speaking to the audience, your diaphragm and everything is able to get those words out better. If you're already nervous and you're gasping for breath, it's really hard when you're scrunched down and sitting. But for today's speech, I am going to be sitting slightly. I have one foot on the ground and one foot on the chair. It's about time. Learning through presentation mastery how important time is helps us to understand a couple of things. One of the things is that we need to be cognizant of our time as a speaker, not only for ourselves, but for our audience. They came to hear you from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, not 1 to 2:45, not 1 to 3 o'clock. So it's very important that we as presenters make sure that we manage our time, that we follow our timer. The other thing I learned through presentation mastery is something that many of us fail to do, and I do a lot because I share a lot of personal stories. While those are great, after a while I've learned that yeah, can Trixie talk about anything but herself? Yes, I can, and I'm learning, challenging myself to develop more of the stories for you and more of the stories that you can relate to, that maybe you're still talking about me, but mixing it up in a different way. Use your emotions. Just remember, the stage is not your therapy chair. Many of the speeches that I have given, and that I'm sure I will give, talk about really hard things that have gone through my life. They choke me up. They get my throat all, and they do that to us when we're speaking. And we start feeling those tears welling in our eyes. The thing that I've seen the most is people pull back on that. And they say, oh no, I can't cry on stage. Oh no, I can't share that emotion. Instead, what I learned through presentation mastery is you can share that emotion. Just learn how to share that emotion. Where do you learn? Right here in the club. Remember, this is the safe place. They always say our safe place to fail. And while I agree with that, I want to challenge you and encourage you to think of it as a safe place to stand, a safe place to be. And it's okay to let those emotions muster up. And if it does get away from you, then people in your club can help you, give you tips and tricks. That was really great. I really connected with you and I felt your emotion. However, here's how you could have handled that so you could gather yourself again. My mentors, Marcia, Rhea, Mark West, and Keith Motzner, who are my biggest mentors, have all taught me it's okay to have that emotion, just keep it in check. Remember that the stage is not your therapy chair. Managing a difficult audience was one of my projects. However, one of the things that I did, because I like to change it up, is I did managing a difficult club instead. And this was actually given as a suggestion to me from my club, DTC Speaks. How this came about was because of our current pandemic. And we had to learn how to handle the club a little differently. In this, we have to learn how to handle different roles as the officers, but we also had to learn different things. And I share with you a little bit here that's a little bit like the book, but a little different. There is the talker who speaks while another person is talking on camera. There's the mover. You know her. She's the person that moves all around on camera while you're trying to talk and getting a drink. The Zoom bomber, the one that comes in and does crazy stuff and has no reason to actually be there. They just want to cause trouble. And then I call him the mouse. You know that person. They barely speak. You have to ask and beg and pull them to come out of their shell. And then there's the chatterer, the one who chats during the meetings and sends messages while you're trying to speak. So I really appreciate in this club that we say, don't do that. The biggest tip to speak professionally that I learned through presentation mastery, be compelling. Compelling in the dictionary says to be a compelling personality. It compels. That novel was so compelling, I couldn't put it down. I love hearing about people who say, your speech was so compelling, I forgot to take time. Your speech was so compelling, I don't think I even heard an ah word. Well, maybe I said it, but I was so compelling, you missed it. My final glory that I found in presentation mastery was my panel discussion. I have to share this the most with you. I truly feel that I would not have been able to do this panel discussion during this time had I not learned everything I learned from my Toastmasters journey. I started Toastmasters in 2016, and it was in a regular club. We didn't have a lot of the virtual. And then through the years, I learned more and more steps and how to manage things and how to learn how to give a great speech and how to learn to do these things through our competent communicator and competent leader. But what really happened was this year. This year, it forced all of us a brand new challenge, virtual. How do I talk to you on camera? Wally always has a little sticker right next to his camera. Well, lucky, mine lights up white and bright, and I just stare at that little white light. Sometimes looking down at my notes, but making sure that I talk to the camera. When you're doing a panel discussion, this is hugely important because you don't have a series of chairs next to you. You don't have the audience in front of you, and you have to manage things in a whole different world. I would love to see managing a panel discussion in a virtual world in our Toastmasters book, because I had to learn outside of Toastmasters a little bit how to learn the virtual. I did take the managing an online path, and that's great, but I'm telling you, this is something that really challenges you. how to interact with the audience, how to make sure that it's not just you chattering all the time. It was really a great opportunity for me. Tom Hobbs allowed me to use his Zoom, and because he has the wider presentation suite, he also challenged me to do something I'd never done before. Live stream. If you think you get scared talking to a regular audience, consider the fact that you're live streaming to Facebook, and we had a watch party all at the same time as me doing the panel discussion. What I found out after that I'm glad I didn't know during is 337 people were watching me while I was doing my panel discussion. Mind blowing. It was crazy to me. I just could not believe that this was happening. Let me tell you something. I felt like I stepped into a whole new world, you guys. I was so excited. When I got done with my panel discussion, I had goosebumps on my arms. I jumped up and I jumped all around and I said, I did it, I did it. I did a virtual live stream watch party panel discussion on a really intense but courageous topic, life in a Black world. It was relatable and it was compelling is what people told me. And you know what? They want to do more. And that excites me even more. That when you leave a speech and they want more, I immediately think of my dad's favorite person, Mae West. And she always said, leave them wanting more, baby. And I thought, that's great. That's exactly what I was thinking. I loved doing this. And doing presentation mastery, I think will really help you to be able to do big projects like this. Growing through pathways, let me tell you, I really don't think that I could have done this without my Toastmasters training. Yeah, I could have given a panel discussion, but it wouldn't have been the way that it was. I could give a speech to you today, and I wouldn't have the skill set. I used to be a keynote speaker, and now I feel like I am a keynote speaker. Toastmasters, you never know where it can take you. Back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Trixie.
Yay, Trixie. Woo!